waiting for me at my hotel. Some 9 trays. As soon as I walk in, hit right in my mouth. Got hit in my mouth. And then my beat his and then they ran. If y'all really think bro about that, bro, really go tell that like pull up right now, like right now, like. Cause bro
is facing serious jail time for the murder of 6ix9ine's girlfriend. For people who haven't been keeping up, that might sound shocking, but for those who know the history, it's not so surprising. These two have been locked in one of the most toxic feuds in hip-hop. The story of how 6ix9ine and Trippie Redd went from day one homies to wanting each other dead starts back in 2017 during the peak of the SoundCloud rap wave, when both these were coming up from the underground and fighting to get their names in the game. They were both part of that legendary 2017 XXL freshman class and were signed to the same label family under 10K Projects, which should have been the foundation for a partnership that could have dominated the whole scene. At first, it looked like that's exactly what was happening. These two were in the studio together creating bangers like Pole's 1469 and OE tracks that showed off both their unique styles and had people thinking they were about to be the next big duo in rap. For a minute there, it seemed like they were going to rise up together, supporting each other as they navigated the snake-filled waters of the music industry. But that friendship was built on some shaky foundation, and the first major crack appeared in August 2017 when some real disturbing about 6ix9ine's past came to light. Reports surfaced about 6ix9ine's 2015 guilty plea to misconduct involving a minor. And that news hit the hip-hop community like a bomb going off. Trippie, who had been riding with his boy up until that point, felt like he had Todestance himself from that type of energy. Trippie made his position clear on Twitter, posting, "I'm sorry, bro, 1400. Don't promote files. It was an accident." Referring to his label stance on noting with that type of that public statement marked the beginning of what would turn into one of the most bitter and personal conflicts in rap history. With both artists seemingly unable to let go of their grievances and just move on with their careers, the beef escalated quick as hell and reached its first major violent episode on November 11, 2017, in what became one of the most significant incidents in their ongoing war. Trippie Redd got jumped at a New York hotel and ended up with a bruised chin. But this wasn't no random street altercation. This was planned, coordinated, and executed with the precision of a military operation. What makes this incident even more up is what we learned about it years later. When 6ix9ine testified in his 2019 federal racketeering trial against the 9 Trey gangster Bloods, homie admitted under oath to some that shocked even people who thought they knew how deep this beef went. He confessed that he personally ordered the attack on Trippie Redd, and his motivations were straight petty: jealousy, resentment, and wounded pride. Trippie's reaction to getting jumped was immediate and raw as hell. He got on Instagram Live while he was still heated from the assault, and he didn't hold nothing back. "Bro had waiting for me at my hotel. Some 9 traitors. Soon as I walk in the building, hit right in, my mouth got hit in my mouth, and then my beat his, and then they ran." But Trippie wasn't satisfied with just explaining what went down. He went full savage mode and started going at 6ix9ine's whole character and credibility. So it's like, if y'all really think, bro, about that, bro, really go tell that, like, pull up right now, like, right now, like, 'cause, bro, the disrespect didn't stop there. Trippie really went in with some of the most vicious personal attacks you'll ever hear in hip-hop beat. "This my battle, you know. 6ix9ine done 6ix9ine. Cannot come to LA. 69 stands for position 'cause he sucks rain-haired baggot." These weren't just angry words from someone who got caught slipping. This was a fundamental declaration of war between two who had completely burned their bridge and were ready to take their conflict to whatever level it needed to go. According to 6ix9ine's later court testimony, his motivations for ordering the hit were rooted in some real petty. He was jealous that Trippie got signed first, mad about online arguments, and frustrated by their rival gang connections. The attack wasn't no spur-of-the-moment decision either. It was calculated revenge carried out by actual gang members at 6ix9ine's direction. The way it went down was some real movie type. 6ix9ine's crew, including Anthony Harv Ellison, followed Trippie from a video shoot to his hotel and jumped him. What makes this even more complex is that Trippie had supposedly invited 6ix9ine to the shoot under the pretense of squashing their beef. But he was allegedly planning his own ambush with 15 deep, ready to handle business. However, 6ix9ine's team struck first, flipping the script in a violent confrontation that took their beef to a whole new level of dangerous. The beef continued getting more toxic throughout 2018, with both artists using social media as weapons to destroy each other's reputations and credibility. In May 2018, Trippie was on some real gangster, vowing to beat the out of 6ix9ine and even jumping on Chief Keef's diss track I Kill People that was aimed directly at him. This wasn't just rap beef anymore. This was all-out war being fought on. Multiple fronts with an intensity that had even other rappers worried about how far it might go. But perhaps the most devastating blow to Trippie came when his own girl became a weapon in 6ix9ine's arsenal. Trippie's ex-girlfriend, Alec Dollar, switched sides and started appearing in videos supporting 6ix9ine's Treyway crew, a betrayal that 6ix9ine used to inflict maximum psychological damage on his enemy. The pain of this betrayal was obvious when people started asking Dollar about her motivations. Why? You said what? You said why? I just want to know why. Why? Like why? Hurt 'cause I'm hurt and I reel. When people pressed her about how she could do Trippie dirty like that after everything he'd done for her career, her response showed just how twisted the whole situation had become. But yo, now Trippie held you down for a bit though. Like yo, Trippie gave you mad clout. Like why would you do that? No, I held myself down. He gave you a lot of clout though. You don't care about that? We gave each other clout. That's a D. This betrayal cut deep as hell because it wasn't just about losing a girlfriend. It was about someone who had been intimate with his life and career, actively working to humiliate him in the most public way possible. The psychological warfare aspect of their beef was becoming just as damaging as any physical confrontation. The violence escalated even further when shots were fired at Trippie Redd in November 2018 by 6ix9ine's former manager, Shotty, who was part of the 9 Trey gangster bloods. When start shooting at each other, you know the beef has reached a level where somebody might not make it out alive. The beef took on new dimensions when 6ix9ine's federal case came to light. His decision to cooperate with authorities against the 9 Trey gangster bloods in 2019 got him a reduced sentence, but also earned him the snitch label throughout the hip-hop community. Trippie was among those who clowned him for this decision, but the implications went way beyond simple name-calling. 6ix9ine's testimony had created new enemies and put everyone in his circle at potential risk for retaliation. During his testimony, 6ix9ine provided detailed accounts of his conflicts with Trippie, including admitting to ordering the hotel attack and describing how their rivalry had escalated into serious criminal activity. This wasn't just some rapper bragging about street credibility. This was sworn testimony in federal court, making it official record that their beef had involved real criminal enterprises and violent crimes. The personal hatred between them was on full display during their face-to-face confrontations on social media. During one particularly heated Instagram live battle, their mutual animosity was impossible to ignore. You said my dad, homies. Who you talking about? What up, black dude? Who you talking about, bro? You mean what I'm talking about? What? Dad, homies you talking about? I'm in Brooklyn. I'm in Brooklyn. Ian, I'm in Brooklyn. You know? Stay in Brooklyn. I'ma stay in Brooklyn. All right, bet. Stay. These exchanges showed that their conflict had moved way beyond professional rivalry into deeply personal territory, with family members becoming targets in their verbal warfare. The level of disrespect and hatred between them suggested something that could easily spill over into real violence at any moment. The beef has continued simmering over the years with occasional flare-ups and ongoing tensions. While both artists have found success in their respective careers, the underlying hatred between them has never been fully resolved. Recent developments, including Trippie's ongoing legal troubles and personal scandals, have only added more complexity to an already volatile situation. What makes this beef particularly relevant to understanding the speculation around Ariela's murder is the clear pattern of escalation and real violence that has characterized their relationship from day one. This isn't just about social media, insults, or distracts. This is a conflict that has already resulted in physical assaults, gunshots, and federal criminal charges. The fact that 6ix9ine's cooperation with law enforcement created additional enemies and potential motives for retaliation only adds another dangerous layer to an already explosive situation. When investigators began looking for answers in a targeted killing that would devastate 6ix9ine's inner circle, the long history of violence and hatred between him and Trippie Redd provided a troubling context for understanding why some people in the streets might suspect a connection. When keeping it real goes deadly wrong. With the foundation of this toxic beef laid bare, we can now understand how the hip-hop world exploded with theories and speculation when news broke of a murder so calculated and devastating that it had everyone, from the streets to the boardrooms, asking whether someone's past had finally caught up with them in the most tragic way possible. The victim at the center of this whole tragic situation was Ariela Maya Polano, better known in the streets as Ariela Langosta, and that nickname wasn't just some cute social media handle. Nah, this shorty earned that name the Lobster because she was straight fire in the nightlife scene. At 33, this Dominican queen had built herself up from nothing, grinding her way to over 566,000 followers on the gram, where she stayed flexing that high-life aesthetic that had from all over New York trying to get at her. But Ariela wasn't just another Instagram baddie trying to make it off her looks. This woman was a certified hustler in NYC's cutthroat nightlife game. She was holding it down as a hostess and team member at Icon New York. They also call it Opus. Lounge up in Inwood, Manhattan, where only the realest players in the city come through to spend that bag. The people who knew her personally weren't just hyping her up for the cameras either. They was speaking straight facts when they called. Her a shining star, one-of-a-kind soul, and an angel who brought energy to those around her. This wasn't no basic chick struggling to pay rent and begging for bottle service. Ariela was that who had her own together. She was a mother to 2 daughters, and she had the paper to back up her lifestyle. Shorty owned a big house in the northern suburbs of New York while still keeping an apartment near 42 Broad Street in Mount Vernon. That's 2 cribs, family. One for the quiet family life, and another for when she needed to be in the mix. That's boss-level thinking right there. But what really put Ariela in the crosshairs of this investigation was her deep connection with one of rap's most controversial and dangerous figures, Daniel Hernandez, who the whole world knows as Tekashi 69. Now, the street's been talking about what exactly these two had going on. And the stories vary depending on who you ask. Some sources say she was his longtime friend. Others claim she was his girl, his ex, or his side piece. But what can't be disputed is that their connection ran deeper than just some casual acquaintance. The most visible proof of their relationship came through her starring role in his 2023 music video for Why, where she wasn't just some random video vixen in the background. She was front and center getting that main character treatment. When you put a female in your video like that, especially when you're 6ix9ine and every move you make gets scrutinized, that's basically announcing to the world that this person matters to you on some real. When word got back to 6ix9ine that his people was gone, his reaction was raw and showed just how deep their bond really was. Through a series of Instagram stories that had the whole internet watching, he poured his heart out about losing her, calling her the Queen of New York, a tremendous woman, and my sister. But it was the personal, intimate details that really revealed what was good between them. Homie was posting in Spanish like Yo ama, which translates to I love you for y'all. who don't speak the language and calling her minagra, which is street slang for my girl or my love. The most telling part of his tribute was when he included a snippet of what he said was their song. Aventura's Obsession. Now, if you know anything about Latino culture and romance, you know that bachata joint is deep as hell. You don't just pick, that's your song with somebody unless y'all really had something special going on. That wasn't no casual friendship music, that was some ride or die soul connection type. So, here's how everything went down on that fatal Sunday morning. Ariela was behind the wheel of her black Mercedes-Benz G-Class. You know, one of them G-Wagons that cost more than most people make in 2 years. She had been flossing this same truck on her social media back in March 2025, showing off her success and letting the haters know she was living good. She was rolling solo, heading eastbound on the Cross County Parkway near the Broad Street exit in Mount Vernon, Westchester County, New York, just north of the Bronx. Now what happened next is some real horror movie. Ariela was found dead behind the wheel of her Mercedes, sitting on the shoulder of the highway. At first, when the initial reports came in, people thought maybe she had a heart attack, maybe fell asleep at the wheel, or some other tragic but natural cause. The kind of that happens sometimes when people are grinding too hard and their body just gives out. But when the Westchester County Medical Examiner's Office did their thing and got the autopsy results back, the real picture became clear. And it was way more sinister than anybody initially thought. Ariela had been hit multiple times with gunshots, and this wasn't no random drive-by or robbery gone wrong. The police made it crystal clear that this was likely targeted for violence, which in street terms means somebody wanted this woman dead specifically, and they made sure to finish the job. That targeted designation sent chills through everybody who knew Ariela, and it immediately had people in the hip-hop community asking hard questions about who would want to murk her and why. In a world where beefs can simmer for years and hold grudges longer than they hold jobs, the fact that this was a planned hit had everybody looking at the various enemies and conflicts that come withing around in 6ix9ine's orbit. The Westchester County Police Department's General Investigations Unit took control of the case immediately, knowing damn well that this wasn't going to be no simple investigation. They locked down the crime scene, started collecting evidence, and began the long process of trying to figure out not just who pulled the trigger, but who ordered the hit and why they chose Ariela as their target. When the news hit social media and the hip-hop blogs, the response was immediate and emotional. As the nightlife community, where Ariela had been such a major player, was devastated. Icon New York shut down temporarily out of respect and set up a memorial outside the club where people who knew her came through to pay their respects and remember the good times. The tribute from her workplace wasn't no corporate PR bull either. When they said New York City nightlife has lost an angel, that was coming from people who had worked with her, partied with her, and seen firsthand how she brought life to every room she entered. That's the kind of tribute you only get when you're really about that life, and people genuinely with you. But as the hip-hop world processed this loss and tried to make sense of what happened, another element started creeping into the conversation. People began wondering if this targeted killing might be connected to 6ix9ine's messy past, especially his highly publicized snitching on the feds and all the enemies he's made throughout his controversial career. The timing couldn't have been more suspicious either. Here you have a woman who was clearly important to 6ix9ine, someone who had been featured prominently in his music videos and was obviously part of his inner circle, suddenly gunned down in what police are calling a targeted killing. Given the history of violence between 6ix9ine and Trippie Redd, the fact that shots had already been fired in their beef and the personal nature of their hatred for each other, it wasn't hard for people in the streets to start connecting dots. "You said my dad, homies. Who you talking to?" "What up, Black D? Who you talking about, bro? You mean what I'm talking about? What homies you talking about?" The investigation meets the streets whispers. As the investigation into Ariela Maya Polano's murder continues grinding forward, the street's been buzzing with theories, speculation, and straight-up rumors that threaten to turn this whole case into some social media circus instead of the serious, Criminal investigation. It needs to be. The official investigation being handled by the